Hey guys, welcome back to another video of mine. And today I wanted to do a video about ranking every MCU product, going from Iron Man all the way to Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. These movies can range from great to bad to good to great to amazing to bad. It's pretty weird. So I just want to do a tier list and show my ranking of my own opinion. And here the tiers: perfect, great, good, mediocre, average, bad, awful, and the worst, which is the worst. Perfect is the best, the worst is the worst. Now let's start it off with Iron Man 1. Now this was the start through the entire MCU, and if it wasn't for this, we would never gotten any movies like Infinity War, Endgame, or like any other great movies. So because of that, I think it deserves to be on the perfect tier. Just because it started all, it definitely gets those points. And also, even on its own, it's great. Like Iron Man was a great character. It had a pretty decent villain overall. Pretty good story and pretty good fights, I guess. Pretty good movie. Next up, we have the Hulk. Now, the Hulk does not even seem to feel like it's in the MCU because of the actor, because they switch actors with the Hulk. It feels kind of, the story's not that good at it. Okay, villain, I guess. All white villain. And I'm gonna put this on the bad tier. Next we have the Iron Man 2, and I'm gonna put this not as good as Iron Man, but as probably one of the worst villains in the MCU. But not much bad happened. There's not that much bad in there. The ending was pretty okay, alright, and not much good stuff to say about that. But I don't think it's awful or bad, so I'm gonna put it on the average tier. Next up we have Thor. Thor is a pretty good Marvel movie, in my opinion. I think it deserves to be on the good tier. Like it had a pretty good villain in Loki. Thor. I like his development. Great development from like learning how to care for others. It was it was amazing. That was really good, and I think this would be a good tier. But it does have its flaws, like the settings, not that good of a place, and the and Mary Jane is not a good character at all, but pretty good. Next up, we have the first Avenger, and I'm gonna put this on the great tier. It was a great movie for this. It was great for the start, and I mean for this character, and it had a really good villain in the Red Skull, and yeah, pretty good movie. Great tier. Next up, we have the Avengers, and perfect tier. This is one of my favorite MCU movies of all time. It was great. It formed the Avengers team. It was we got to see all the Avengers forming, like Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, the Hulk, which and the Hulk also had a scary action scene with Black Widow. We got to know these characters, and yeah, it was a really pretty good movie. Perfect, yeah. Next up, we have Iron Man 3. And I think Iron Man 3 deserves to be on the great tier. I like it better than other people. The action is fun. It's like, this is just a fun movie overall, in my opinion. The villain, he's okay. He's alright, I guess. But that's the only flaw. But it's just a fun movie overall, and I think this deserves to be on the great tier. Next up, we have Thor: The Dark World. I can't even tell you a single thing that happens in this movie. You know what happened? Wait, I think I can tell you something. Uh, I don't know what to say. This is the worst. This is going in the worst tier. One of the worst Marvel movies. Oh wait, I didn't remember something. Loki was thought to be dead. That's yeah. I guess I remember some things about it. I just rewatched this movie and I don't even remember a single thing. It's going in the worst tier. It's forgettable. It's forgettable. It's bad. It's awful. It's the worst. Next up, we have the Winter Soldier, and I think this one deserves to be on the perfect tier, in my opinion. Right in the middle, in between Avengers and Iron Man. This was great. I loved it. It's like almost on par with the Avengers with me. Nah, I think I don't know, but it was really good, and I like it. It had a really good villain, and Captain America. This is whenever he became amazing. He was already great, but now he's just amazing. So it's perfect here for me. Next up, we have Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm gonna put Guardians of the Galaxy on the perfect tier. In fact, I'm gonna put it above the above at the top of it. It was amazing. It like Guardians of the Galaxy. It had a great start. We got to go see we introduced Groot, Star Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket. It was a really good. It introduced Yondu. This was just a great start for the Guardians trilogy. If you're counting the special, which I am. So I think this is absolutely perfect. It was emotional and yeah, it was great. Next up, we have Age of Ultron. And I'm gonna put Age of Ultron on the good tier. Definitely a huge downgrade from the Avengers, but Age of Ultron not all too bad. Introduced Vision and my favorite character in the MCU, Wanda. It also introduced Quicksilver, who's pretty meh. He's like I don't really. He's pretty mad, in my opinion. Well, and the villain was pretty, actually, kind of good. Even though he kept on making jokes, it doesn't make him all that. It doesn't make him bad at all. So I think this is supposed to be on the good tier. Next up, we have Ant-Man. Ant-Man I'm gonna put on the good tier, but I'm gonna put it at the bottom of the good tier. I think Ant-Man was a pretty good start. It's the best Ant-Man movie when you compare it to all the other movies, all of its other movies. It had a pretty good villain, and yeah, it was a pretty good character in Ant-Man. At least for this movie, and yeah, it's a pretty good movie overall. Next up, we have Civil War. And Civil War is absolutely perfect. I'm gonna put it at the bottom. It was great. It had a civil war with the Avengers. It was pretty good. I like this movie. I loved it. I think it is perfect here. Next up we have Doctor Strange, and I'm gonna put this on the second top at the second on the good tier. It was a pretty good movie in my opinion. The reason why I liked this movie is because Doctor Strange was a pretty good character in this, but when you just compare him to all other movies he was in, he's not that good. He is not as good as all of them, but still pretty good. Dormammu was in this movie. It was also pretty good. Had pretty fun action scenes, and yeah, pretty good movie overall. Next up, we have Homecoming. And I'm going to put Homecoming on the great tier. It was a great movie in my opinion. And it had Spider-Man back from Civil War, which was actually my definitive Spider-Man in Civil War. He wasn't in this movie, but he was still pretty good overall. But yeah, he was great. So I think this movie deserves a great tier. Also had an amazing, incredible villain, and yeah, I love this movie. Definitely great tier. Next up, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Perfect here. I think it was amazing. It's almost like on par. It's tied with Guardians for me. It had a better villain than Guardians did, and a better story. But I think Guardians had a better characters and and also had better jokes. I think. Yeah, it was and kept. This had better kept. Oh wait, this has better story and. But this was a really good. But it was a really good movie. Let's start tied. Like I love Yondu in this movie, and all the only character it did downgrade Drax in my opinion, but all the other characters are pretty good. And how can you forget the legendary Baby Goat? He is adorable. Of course, he's going in perfect here. Next up, we have Black Panther. Gonna put out the great tier right there. It had a great villain and Killmonger is actually one of my favorite villains in the entire MCU. So and the Black Panther is always pretty good, but not as good as he was in Civil War. But still, was a really good character in there. Next up, we have Ragnarok. I'm gonna put at the top of great tier. It had great. It was fun action. The music was amazing. Thor was a lot better character than he was in all of the movies combined. Like yeah, it's actually the one Thor movie I would say is actually great. Next up, we have Infinity War, and I'm gonna put this on the perfect here. It was a great movie in my opinion, a perfect movie in my opinion. It was directed by the Russo brothers, which are amazing directors, best for the MCU, and they just make the best MCU movies. Like you can see, already 2 out of 3 Russo brother movies are perfect, and I didn't even get to the third one yet. So, and Infinity War had one of my favorite villain in the MCU. Yes, even better than Killmonger. Thanos is phenomenal. You know what? Maybe Thanos is my second favorite villain. But I'll get to my favorite villain in a little bit. So this movie does a perfect here. Next up we have Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is awful, Tia. It was forgettable, boring, had a pretty bad villain, and yeah, it was pretty bad. It was awful. And it is like why did it have to come in between Infinity War and Endgame? Like it sucks. Next up we have Captain Marvel. This is awful for me. You know what? This is the worst. Just for what it did to Nick Fury. Like they turned Nick Fury into this cool like it was like how he got his eyes, how he lost his eye was like was a pretty small was a pretty good mystery, not a big mystery, but still we wanted to know. And the way that and he lost it from a cat. Are you kidding me? A cat? This really destroys everything that the MCU says. That is why it's getting the worst here. You know what? Do I hate? I think I hate it more than Thor: The Dark World. Next up, we have Endgame. This is my favorite MCU movie of all time. It's going on the perfect year. It is amazing. It was great in every way. Like, it had a perfect ending that ended the entire Infinity Saga, and it was like the best thing in the Infinity Saga, and I have to praise it for that. Like, wow. Well, apparently, even though it was supposed to be the ending of the Infinity Saga, it was not the last movie. That is Far From Home. Far From Home is going on the great tier. I think it was a really good movie. Like had a pretty good villain, but not as good as the No Way Home version. Spider-Man was a lot better than he was in Homecoming, and yeah, it was great. Next up, we have WandaVision. WandaVision is perfect, absolutely perfect. I'm gonna put this on the perfect here. It was amazing. Had it because it focused on my favorite character, which is Wanda. They made Vision great. The villain was great. every like not everything was good, but the good stuff just adds up and puts on the perfect tier. Next up, we have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm gonna put this on the average tier. This was not that good of a show, and it had a terrible, awful villain in my opinion. The story was not that good, and yeah, it was not that good, and it definitely deserves to be. You know what? I think I'm even gonna keep it an average, I guess, just because of Bucky. He was pretty good in this. Next up, we have Loki. Loki is great, in my opinion. I'm gonna put it right there. It was a great show. It was fun, and yeah, Loki was a pretty good character in this show, in my opinion. So it definitely deserves to be great too. Next up, we have Black Widow. Black Widow, I think definitely. I think it's a mediocre film. I don't think it should have came out I think it should have come right after Civil War. Like it's fun. Like it shouldn't have not came after right after Endgame. Like, are you kidding me? It should have came before that, and that because of that, it would have there were no stakes for the characters. If it came out to Civil War, it would have. That's the only reason why. If it came right after Civil War, it would have stakes, but it also it hadn't. But because of that, it didn't. But it could have. And it had a pretty bad villain and an awful villain, one of the worst, maybe the worst villain in the MCU. So I think it's mediocre for me. Okay, next up we have What If. I think What If is going at the top of good here. It is pretty good in my opinion. Yeah, that's pretty good. It had a it could have been better though. Like it could have been a lot better than in my opinion. That's why it's only getting good. Next up we have Shang-Chi, and I'm gonna put this on the great tier. Like why do I like it better than Ragnarok? Yeah, I think I do. It was fun. It had the best action in the MCU, and the characters were pretty actually good in my opinion. It had a pretty good villain, so it definitely deserves to be on the great tier. Next up, we have Eternals. Here's the thing with Eternals. The Eternals did not flesh out the characters all too good in my opinion. The villain was fine, I guess. And so I'm gonna it was not enough. So I'm gonna put this on the average tier. Next up, we have Hawkeye. I'm gonna put Hawkeye on the great tier. I think Hawkeye was a pretty great show, in my opinion. It was fun, and yeah, I loved it. I think it was a great tier. Next up, we have Moon Knight. I'm gonna put it on the great tier, right above Loki. It was pretty fun. Like, you got to see the characters' personalities, and yeah, pretty good film overall. Next up, we have No Way Home. This is absolutely perfect for me. I love No Way Home, and it was great. And showed us all the Spider-Man, and it was just amazing. Next up, we have the Multiverse of Madness. This one deserves to be on the great tier. It was pretty great in my opinion. Like I loved the multiverse aspect, even though it wasn't handled all too good. It was done enough for me at least. And the characters were pretty good. And Wanda, she is my favorite villain in the MCU. Yeah, that's her. That's why it's going on the great tier. Next up, we have Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel. It's pretty mediocre for me. Not much happened in this. You, be like, I mean, not like the character of Miss Marvel is pretty okay. The story is pretty slow. So I think I'm gonna move it down to the top of average actually. So yeah, next up we have Werewolf by Night. This season was great. I'm gonna put it on the S tier. It was just amazing. It was amazing, fun, and yeah, it was pretty cool and different. Next up, we have Thor: Love and Thunder. Worst tier. This is absolutely terrible. And yeah, I hate it. Like it takes, it turns everything emotional about this Thor and turns it into a joke. This entire movie is a joke, and nothing is even funny. So they made an entire movie about jokes, and nothing. It's not even funny. It definitely goes to the worst tier. Next up, we have She-Hulk. Worst tier. This is my least favorite MCU product, and it sucks. This is the She-Hulk character looks ugly. It's just terrible. Has an awful villain. You know what? This probably has the worst villain. Pretty sure that's my definitive answer. That She-Hulk has the worst villain. Next up, we have Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever. I'm gonna put this on the great tier. It was pretty good in my opinion. I'm gonna put it right there. Wait, nah, not there. Wait, I don't like it. There, I'll put it at the top of great. Next we have Holiday Special, and this one is in definite S tier. I'm gonna put it near the bottom, but hey, all the Guardians movies made it in the S tier. This is saying something. Like it was fun. The Holiday Special was fun. And the ending was just amazing. Next we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and this one, I'm gonna put this on the average tier. Yeah, I think because it was it was not good at all, and it was pretty boring. It was bad, and I can't really explain why, but it was just bad because of the writing itself, and that is why it's not all too bad. So you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna actually put it in the bad tier, right above the hope, and that is my definitive ranking for all of Marvel movie and shows. It has changed quite a bit, and so that is my rank. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see